Greetings from the nighttime, everyone. Or that's when I'm typing the script up, at least. So, this video will be a little bit different than normal. I have been writing full word-for-word scripts for all these analyses so far, but today I'm not doing that. Other than in this intro, I'm just going to have some bullet points, and it's going to be a lot of a looser analysis. More like a rant, you know? But I am scripting this to say two things. One, if I sound a little bit off, I'm kind of coming down from a sickness of something. I don't know. I was ill. I don't know what it was. And two, there will be spoilers for Arcane in this video. So, you know, if you haven't seen it, maybe hop out. Yeah, so watch it if you haven't. And probably before this. Anyway, that being said, let's get into the video. So, Arcane. Pretty good show overall, you know, all things considered. It's great. It's so good. I love it so much. It's such a good show. I've been kind of obsessing over it lately, a little bit, just a tad. But there's a specific episode that I really, really liked because it's really interesting. It's among the one of the favorites for me. Season 2, episode 7, Pretend Like It's the First Time. In case you forgot, a little bit of background is Echo and Heimerdinger go into an alternate reality, and Jace goes into another one. And I want to talk about this episode, but I want to focus on the reality that Echo and Heimerdinger are in together, because it's really different, and I think it's really interesting. So first, I want to talk about like the basic differences. And let's just say that this is like the good reality, you know? In at least roughly chronological order of big reveals. Jinx, not a thing. Just Powder. It's just Powder. She's chill and not murdery, and overall, at least, seemingly pretty happy. And you see that in the very beginning. And then, like, a minute later, you see Benzo is alive. Which is awesome. Oh my god, I love this episode so much. And then, you go to the, bar, right? I don't know if it has a different name in the alternate universe. But, Vander is alive. And then so are Milo and Clagger. So they're all alive. And we're going to talk about what some of the implications are in this, but just going over basic things. Couple minutes later, you go down to Powder's, like, fan room, and Vi is revealed to be dead, right? Which in that scene is explained is because of the job that Echo gave, which we're gonna talk about more in a minute. Yeah. Then, some other stuff, or just like a side thing, is, it actually took me a few minutes to get because I didn't connect the dots on my first watch, but after looking some stuff up, seeing some other people's opinions, and rewatching it, Zon and Piltover as like cities are maybe joined together, like maybe they're one, but at the very least they're happy, if you will. Like they're not attacking each other and like having a ton of tension. Like people seem to be happy, is the point. And then the final big reveal is that Silco forgave Vander for the strangling incident. Because, he's like, oh, the best thing you can do is forgive or something. I don't remember the lines word for word. I'm not reading a script, so, I can't just plop that into existence. So, the next thing I want to talk about, right, and kind of go a little bit more in depth on is Vi's death in the alternate reality. So whenever Echo goes up to the site of the job, right, like where they pulled the heist, basically, we see some flashbacks where Vi is in Powder's arms, unresponsive, which is presumably, I think it's a pretty good bet to say that that is showing Vi's death, right? And at the same time, Echo's grabbing shards of the Hextech prototype, like one of which is like buried in the wall, like with a crater. So what I pulled from that personally is that Vi's death happened because of the explosion, which I think makes sense and is pretty clear overall. But then there's a mystery to it, like why did it happen? And actually, this is my second take on this part of the video, and I think I might actually have a more solid theory than I did before, but let's get to that in a second. So my first thought was something small changed, like something accidentally happened or something like that, or just by circumstance. So I went back and watched the scenes, but like of the alternate reality and the initial season 1, episode 1 scene of them actually pulling the heist, and I couldn't see any anything that like could have gone different outside of like, oh, it just like the prototype just like rolled differently or something, but that's not satisfactory, that's not a satisfying like, oh, it just happened by chance. But come to think of it, Victor in the end, right, like in the last episode, it's like revealed that Victor tried in a bunch of different realities to give Jace these different crystals, or different runes for the Arcane, right? But it only, like, things only went right whenever he gave him the I don't remember which one. I'm gonna be honest here, I don't. Accelerate, I think. I don't. I might be mixing wires. I have no idea. But only worked when he gave him a specific rune. So my theory, as of like a minute and a half ago, like as of recording this, is that whatever rune was in that reality had more like explosion potency or something like that. And it exploded because like you can see a shard hitting the wall and it's like a big crater. It's like a whole wall of a crater from just a tiny little shard. So my guess is that the explosion was stronger, or there was like shrapnel that was more impactful or something like that, that Vi got caught in and just, died. Not going to sugarcoat it. She died. But there are two other things I want to note. First of all, I didn't cover this before, but back in the fan scene, where it's revealed that Vi is dead, after Echo presses Powder for information, it upsets her, and she says something along the lines of, like, get out of here before I do something that I'll regret. I don't have the exact quote, but you know, it's something like that. Um, which to me signaled like she's not Jinx, but she still has some of that like instability. Not to blame her, of course, because it presumably like is like a reaction to trauma or something like that. Um, but it's still there where she's like not threatening but like warning against maybe even like attacking Echo. And my guess is that like sort of instability came about because of this trauma where she either like realizes that she was the cause of Vi's death, or at the very least, you know, she was right there. But it doesn't manifest into Jinx because like Silco isn't bad. And doesn't like give her these extreme like ideas, you know? And there are less people dead because of her, if that makes sense. Because originally it was Milo, Clagger, and Vander, and now it's just Vi. Even though they were closer, you know, she still has connections with Milo, Clagger, and Vander, and Silco, and they can grieve through it more healthily than Jinx did in the main reality. And the other thing I want to talk about is, you know, I was looking stuff up online and I saw some people mention that Hextech isn't there, and it's like, wow, is it actually not there? And it doesn't seem like there's at least as much Hextech. It really seems like it's not present. At least I didn't see anything on my rewatch, but of course I could have missed something, you know. And my thought was that that would be because of the incident that happened on that job where Vi died, and either like Jace realized that he can't work with this anymore, and he's like, I'm not gonna do it if it's gonna hurt kids, especially. I can't work with this, or that, and maybe like a mix of the public view being like, this isn't good, this invention hurts people, it hurts children, we can't have this. So everything is shut down, right? Of course, I don't know. I'm not studying it like super closely and looking at every detail. This is kind of just a little theory, you know, based off of a cursory quick glance over everything. Anyway, that was a bit of a long rant on that. So let's move on to the next thing, maybe pick up the pace a bit. I have this noted down as main background stuff. The one I want to talk about is stuff that is off-screen that I think happened. A bit of a theory that also seems to be popular online. So I'm guessing it's correct, but I still want to talk about it, even though it seems to be one of the main theories. So something I thought was really interesting is that Silco forgave Vander for the strangling incident. And I was thinking for a few minutes, like, why would he do that? But, I was like, is it out of guilt of what happened, with, like, Milo, Clagger, and Vander dying? But it's like, no, that's not it, because they're all okay, actually. And the only logical thing I could think of was that the letter that Vander had in the cave, like the cool light cave, was that letter, like, Silco saw it in one way or another. Maybe, Vander sent it, or he saw it by accident, but that, I don't know. But, you know, he saw the letter, and so he had a change of heart, because, you know, the letter's like, I'm sorry for what I did, I really regret it, and then Silco's like, you know, he sees that and he's like, wow, I'm not angry anymore. Or at the very least, he finds it in his heart to forgive, because, you know, without that letter, there, presumably, you know, this is a bit of speculation, but, like, without the letter, Silco might have had the feeling of, like, does he actually care? Like, does he regret it, or did he mean it? And, you know, that kind of festers, and then he gets angrier and more evil from, I guess, our perspective as an audience, right? But the fact that Silco, or the thought that Silco did see the letter has a lot of implications. He never worked with, the doctor, right? The doctor guy. I think he's called the Singed. Which would be why Vander, Benzo, Milo, and Clagger are all still alive, because the Shimmer wouldn't have put them in the situation where, you know, Benzo just, I mean, I assume a lot of us can remember Benzo's death scene. Really instant. But then with Vander and Milo and Clagger, that never happened because there was no, like, Shimmer guy. And also, you know, just saying, Silco also wouldn't have wanted to go against them. Because, you know, him and Vander are good. They're chill. But also, another thing that would come about from that, at least I think, you know, it's a very complex situation, so, you know, my takeaway is also that would be part of why Zon and, Piltover are good, because the, Shimmer would never be, like, a huge factor in that. It wouldn't kill a lot of the enforcers. It wouldn't cause these, like, big battles to happen so violently. And with Vander and Silco together, at least to me, they seem like they could be a really good team. Like, with them together, they could, like, negotiate. Vander clearly had some sort of connections, and Silco also clearly is very good at, like, making plans and working ahead and stuff like that. So with them on a, like, you know, not working against each other, and also just with less internal fighting, you know, Zon could really get that step up to, negotiating with Piltover. Or, you know, maybe they did use Shimmer and it was like a threat of going to war if they wouldn't be diplomatic, but, you know, I guess both are a possibility. And the last thing, like the last main thing I want to talk about, is just how cool the episode is. This is going to be more of like a personal rant, less of an analysis, but it's just such a good episode. I mean, obviously, it's Arcane, the animation is amazing, the designs are beautiful, the character interactions and the progression is so good, it's just awesome. But that's just the fact that it's Arcane. You know, that's not a surprise, right? But I do want to talk about this episode in particular, because I think the idea of an alternate reality episode is very interesting. And sometimes you'll see that in other shows. I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I've seen a couple. But I think that this one was done really, really naturally, which is great, because you know, it was through like the Arcane being crazy and being able to change stuff in a lot of ways. And I think that's really interesting. And then in this case, presumably there's some crazy rune combination which is able to send them to alternate universes, which is believable, if not, you know, difficult to understand. But I think that's really well implemented, and it's also really cool to see how things could change if just one little thing happened. Going back to the letter theory, if you will, where Vander, I'm gonna say Vander sends Silco the letter, just for simplicity. How much can change from Vander just sending Silco the letter? Because it's just like basically everything is entirely different because of that alone. It makes me think of something I really like to live by, in some cases at least. You know, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. If you don't do something, there's generally a higher chance that you will regret not doing that than regret that you did it if you do it, if that makes sense. In this case, right, Vander has to choose between sending the letter and not sending it. If he does send it, obviously in this case, well, not obviously, but at least presumably in this case, the good reality happens. But even if that didn't happen, the worst response he could get is like, I don't forgive you, which would hurt, but at least he could show that he is sorry, if that makes sense. But in the case where he doesn't send it, the best thing that can happen is that really not anything good. I think the worst case kind of happened, where it all spiraled into a ton of issues and a lot of pain on all sides, which is very interesting to think of, you know. But also on another note, the Powder and Echo thing, like the I guess ship, I don't know what else to call it, is so wholesome, and it's so sweet, dude. The dance scene, the fact that it's like only it's animated less, you know, like there's less frames, but it's so colorful and expressive. It's so beautiful. Like, I know I'm saying so a lot, you know what I mean? Like, it's so beautiful, it's so expressive, but it is. It's such a good scene. It's so pretty. Also, just saying, Powder's, like, design there, like her outfit and the makeup, it looks so good, but, like, it's such a good character design. It's so pretty. And then you have, like, the dance scene is amazing. It's just great. And then, you know, they walk outside, and then there's the kiss scene, you know, which I really liked it because it's really sweet to see Echo. I would say especially Echo in this case, because of the universe he came from. Just really letting himself relax and enjoy his time for a minute. It's really, really sweet to see that. And I think that scene really encapsulates it very well. And especially the line where it's like, man, I can't remember these lines. It's like, can we pretend like it's the first time? And that's just so, it's like sad, but it's also really heartfelt. It's like bittersweet, you know, because he just wants to pretend like he doesn't come from a reality where Powder is Jinx, and as Jinx caused a lot of issues. It's just such a good line. But moving on from that, also I really like seeing the Heimerdinger and Echo duo. I think that's really cool. Cause you know, Heimerdinger, as Heimerdinger does, wants to help out a smart mind, or at least that's what I got from it, is that both he kind of, like, Heimerdinger kind of wants to go back to the reality to help people, but I think he really has accepted where he is, and he just wants to help Echo get back, because Echo is a smart guy. You know, he's got a brain, a good brain, and he's really trying to help people, and Heimerdinger is like, kind of sees him as like a student almost, you know, kind of like a mentor figure sort of thing, which also helps Echo a lot, because mainly when Heimerdinger's like, go enjoy the time you have, right? He's, you know, he says like, go enjoy the time you have here, and like, go to the party, and that's where Echo like lets himself relax and just enjoy himself, which is just also really, really wholesome, and it's really nice. But also on top of that, you know, Heimerdinger and Echo kind of have like a contrast, because Heimerdinger is willing to accept the new reality because he didn't really feel like he had a place in society. Of course, this is a bit of a theory as well, but he didn't really have a place in society. So he is, you know, ready to settle down in a different reality where he can just enjoy himself. But Echo isn't, because he has people to help, like he said. No, actually, come to think of it, maybe Heimerdinger was still in power then, so maybe that's not the case, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm just trying to rant about this because this is it's just so good. I love Arcane so much. And this is one of my favorite episodes. I can't tell if it's my favorite or if another one is, but it's just so good anyway. But yeah, that is all. So thank you for watching the video. This like I said, you know, not as scripted, and so I'm trying new formats, and that's gonna include however I choose to format this. I might go back to the normal format, not entirely sure. I'm not editing this yet, I haven't made the decision, but it might be a bit looser, where some of the transitions aren't as like title card-y. So, you know, just kind of testing that out, seeing how it does, seeing how I feel about it too. So yeah, this was a really fun video to make. I don't always like scripting it fully out, but just being able to kind of go off the cuff is very fun. So, you know, let me know if you guys like this, because I could do more of this in the future. And yeah, if this video does well, I might also do another Arcane video, because there's another thing I want to talk about. And yeah, I guess that's all. As another note, uploads might slow down a little bit. I've been having a difficult time keeping up with a video a week. So we'll see how that goes. I'll probably do another video, or at least a post, talking about this more whenever I can get my thoughts straightened out. But, you know, a little sneak peek into behind the scenes stuff. So, but that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing, because you'll see more content like this. Maybe a little bit more Arcane content, if this video does well. Or just analyses of like video games and stuff and all that. But that's all. See you next time, and bye!